The air was thick and stifling in the small, windowless room. I sat on the cold floor, my back against the rough stone wall, my hands trembling as they clutched my phone. The dim glow of the screen did little to push back the suffocating blackness that seemed to crawl around me. The clock on my phone ticked relentlessly. I only had 5 minutes. I didn't know how I ended up here, trapped in this forsaken place. One moment, I had been walking home through the alley near the old church. The next, everything went black. The last thing I remembered was a whisper in the wind, a voice calling my name. Now I was in a small enclosed space, surrounded by darkness that pressed down on me like a physical weight. I could feel the room closing in, suffocating me, and every breath was a struggle against the thick, damp air. The stone floor was cold beneath me, and my skin prickled with fear. I glanced at the phone again. The time read 2:45 a.m. It felt as though I'd been in the room for hours, though I knew it had only been a minute or two since I'd last checked. The seconds dragged on, thick and heavy. I tried to swallow my rising panic. Suddenly, I heard it. A faint scraping sound, barely perceptible at first, like fingernails on stone. My heart skipped a beat. I wasn't alone. Something was here with me. I strained my ears, the sound growing louder now, closer. It wasn't just the walls making noise, it was coming from the far corner of the room. My mind raced, and I forced myself to stay still, not wanting to make a sound, not wanting to draw attention. But it was impossible to ignore. A chill swept through the room, colder than anything I'd ever felt before. My breath came out in visible puffs, even though I knew there was no reason for the temperature to drop like that. I could feel my body trembling uncontrollably, and the hair on my neck stood on end. The scraping continued, drawing nearer, until I could hear soft, shallow breathing mixed with it. It was getting closer to me. I could hear it in my ear now, right behind me, so close I could feel the moist, cool air brushing against my skin. Then a voice, a raspy, chilling whisper, echoed in my ear. "You shouldn't have come here." I froze. My blood ran cold. The voice didn't sound human. It sounded wrong. With a shaky hand, I turned the screen of my phone toward the source of the sound, but there was nothing there, just the empty, dark corner where I thought the sound was coming from. But I could still hear it, soft whispers, murmuring, growing louder with each passing second. I tried to move, but my body wouldn't cooperate. My legs felt like they were cemented to the floor, and every inch of my body screamed to get up and run. But where would I go? There was no door, no window, nothing but an endless black void. The clock on my phone ticked on. 3:15 a.m. The whispers grew more frantic, more insistent, and I could feel something in the air shift, like the very atmosphere was changing. I reached out with my trembling hand, touching the cold stone wall beside me, hoping it would offer some kind of reassurance. But the wall felt different now. Rougher, as if something had scraped its way along the surface, leaving a trail of something slick and unnatural. My eyes darted around the room, searching for any sign of movement, any clue that might explain what was happening. But the darkness had a mind of its own. It shifted and swirled like a living thing, closing in on me from all sides, and then, from the corner of the room, I saw it. An outline. A shadow, tall and thin, its shape distorted like it was stretching in the darkness. I couldn't make out any details, but I could feel its presence, feel the weight of it pressing down on me. The shadow moved toward me slowly, methodically, and as it did, the whispers grew louder until they became a cacophony, a maddening chorus of voices. "Leave, before it's too late." The shadow stopped a mere foot away from me. I could feel its coldness, its malice, as if it was something not just of this world, but something far worse. The temperature plummeted again, and I could see my breath in front of me, frozen and misting in the air. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. My throat was dry, constricted, as if the very air had thickened, turning it into a vice. The clock ticked on, 3:30 a.m. The shadow reached out, its fingers impossibly long, extending toward my face. I could feel its presence, feel the icy touch against my skin as it grazed my cheek. The fingers were cold, so cold, colder than ice, and they left a trail of frost where they touched. I could feel my skin burning from the cold, and my breath caught in my throat. The whispers became one voice now, clear and commanding. You are ours. And then, in an instant, the room began to twist, to shift, as though the very fabric of reality was warping around me. The walls pulsed and throbbed, and the air grew thick, dull,